Hi there. Welcome everyone this to the first Simon Says live stream. Now, this is really just a trial. I haven't done a live stream before, but I thought it'd be a great opportunity just to turn it on, see if there's anyone out there, have a bit of a chat about home automation, and see what you guys have got to say for yourselves. Now, it's been really exciting over the last year and a half to be on YouTube with home automation and home assistant. It's been a really awesome time for me. I've learned to hang of a lot, and I thought, why not try this whole live thing and see what that's about? My plans for the future. This is an exciting year ahead. It seems like there's lots of growth in the home automation space at the moment. Interested to see what's going to be happening with Meta. It's been good to see over the last year or a half or so what's been happening with Meta. It's been growing slowly. I think we all hoped Meta would be growing a little bit faster, but good to see what's happening out there. I've tried a couple of Meta devices up to now, and some of them have worked, some of them haven't worked. So it's I think there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of growth that can happen with Meta, but let's see what's going to happen. Now, I see that there's two of you that have joined the live stream, so welcome. Please forgive me, this is my first live stream, so I'm not too expert at this, but it's exciting to see someone out there and listening to me. Now, the purpose of today, I've put it as a Q&A with Simon Says, so feel free if you want to ask me any questions, fire away. That's what I'm here for. But in introduction to this first live stream, I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown about my where my passion for electronics and my passion for home automation began. Now, I grew up in South Africa, in Johannesburg, and back in the 70s, but probably more in the 80s, when I started becoming a little bit more excited and interested in electronics. It was an interesting time. We had sort of the real start of computing. So I remember at my high school we had two old Apple II computers. That was all that the school had, and they were the old green screen version. I remember going and visiting a friend of my dad's. My dad used to be a lecturer at Wits University, and he used to introduce me to some of his friends there at the university. And I used to go along and play with some of the old computers, all sorts of different computers that were out there in those days, the old 8-bit things. And it was awesome. I've always had a fascination for how things work. So for me, it was really exciting to learn more. And with my interest in electronics sort of kicked off when I was really young. I would get given gifts, and first thing I would do is go along and pull them apart, take the screws out, take the batteries out, see what was going on. And of course, that didn't always go down well, but that's how you learn. It's all about starting out there and understanding how do things work. And really, the first home automation device that I ever came across was one of those clap light switches. I don't know if any of you remember them back from the 80s, but it was basically the first smart plug that I've ever seen. And it was just looked similar to a smart plug, a little bit bigger and bulkier probably than the ones we're used to at the moment. But it had this microphone inside, and it would basically read when there was a clap, it would switch the light on or off. And that was really fascinating for me. It was great to play around with it. I don't remember, but I'm sure I ended up taking it apart at some stage or another. And that's where the passion and the journey began. As I grew up, I started learning more and more about electronics. So got my first soldering iron. And back in those days, we didn't have the internet. So there was no easy way to learn about these things. You literally had to go and find books at the library and start learning about things from asking questions of people and just going out there and playing around. So at an early stage, I picked up some transistors, some light bulbs. Well, first of all, the first thing would have been taking a battery, a couple of pieces of cable, and connecting up a bulb and seeing that power come on. And I remember we had little switches and things we could play around. So that was really the start of my interest in electrical and electronics. And after that, I effectively moved on to, well, when I left school, I basically went to Technicon and I started studying electronics. And in those days, it was very early days, was talking about the and the OR gates, basic LEDs, getting them to flash, things like that. So that was a real early learning curve for me. I actually didn't end up completing my course because I got a bit bored with things. I found that playing with transistors and LEDs and things like that for me was not that interesting. And I ended up going a completely different direction. But years and years later, I sort of started coming across more and more of these home automation type devices. Thanks for the like there. Now, I've got a question that's come in. Thank you, Michael. Michael is asking, if starting out with home automation, would you suggest going with Zigbee or Z-Wave? Zigbee seems appealing because of the range of cheap devices available, but Z-Wave seems to have less interference issues. Now, Michael, I think you're pretty spot on there with what you're saying. Z-Wave, I've actually, or Z-Wave as they call it in the States, I've actually never played with a Z-Wave device as yet. So my experience currently is with Zigbee quite a lot, obviously with Wi-Fi and then with Bluetooth. So those are the components that I've played with so far. If you're willing to spend money, I think that Z-Wave is a really good way to go. My understanding is that it's a much more robust type of a system and that you will have less problems with it down the line. So it all depends on what your goals are. If you're starting off, it's sort of a tricky one. The reason I've played with all the different scenarios is that I think as you start playing around, you learn a lot. Depending on what sort of a budget you've got for your home automation and what you're planning, would really dictate which way you go. If you've got a large budget and you've got money to spend, definitely worth going with Z-Waves to start off with. If, like me, you want to buy as many different devices as you can, I would then suggest Zigbee or even Wi-Fi. Now, I know a lot of people are anti-Wi-Fi and they see a lot of issues with Wi-Fi, but provided you've got a good Wi-Fi router, Wi-Fi can actually be a very effective way of controlling home automation devices, as can be Bluetooth low energy as well. So I wouldn't count out either of those. I would look at them all. I would start playing around with them and seeing which one is going to work for you the best. If you are going for Wi-Fi, one of the key things I've found with Wi-Fi is that you need to find a router that can support multiple devices. I've got one that supports 200, which for me at the moment is quite sufficient. If you're going for Zigbee, with Home Assistant, your options with Zigbee are sort of a couple fold. I'm using the Home Assistant Yellow at the moment. So that has got a Zigbee router or Zigbee radio built into the device. So that's easy, pretty easy to set up. The other way you can go is to select the Sonoff Zigbee USB sticks. I've used a couple of those and they've been very successful. So with Zigbee, first of all, get your Z. I would start with ZHA if you're going with Zigbee. Zigbee to MQTT, I haven't tried it yet. It looks really exciting and it offers you more access to more entities within the device once you've got it going. And also, I believe it gives you a more robust system. But I would start with ZHA because it's simple to set up, very easy to use, and then buy different devices. So for me, I've tried to buy sort of as many different types of devices. So from sensors to buttons to bulbs to cameras, all of these different type of devices and seeing which ones work with which of the protocols. So Zigbee, the next thing is that um, I have had some issues with Zigbee networks, and some of the issues are around the fact that the different manufacturers of the Zigbee devices do not always talk to each other that easily. So with Zigbee, you can have some issues. Specifically, I've got the Aquara PIR Zigbee sensors, and I've had some issues with those whereby they are falling off the network. Sometimes they seem to be fine, but at other times they start falling off the network. And what I've been told is that because Aquara is on a slightly different type of Zigbee communication, they can fall off from time to time. So it's about finding a Zigbee system that will communicate well. It might be worth buying an Aquara hub if you're going to go for Zigbee Aquara devices. So have a look at that, play around, and see where you get. But most certainly, Zigbee for me was an easy starting place. Z-Wave, I would love to try out at some stage or another, but it's early days for me yet on the Zigbee, on the Z-Wave side. So thank you so much for that question, Michael. It's great to have you guys. It's pretty exciting to be on my first live stream. It is Sunday morning here at the moment in New Zealand. Sunday afternoon, 12:06 p.m. It's a beautiful day. We're having a lovely summer here at the moment in New Zealand. And yeah, really excited to be chatting live with people compared to sitting down and recording videos. I must admit, this is totally unprepared today. I have literally been wanting to go live for a while now, watched a few people doing lives, and I thought, why not just hit the button and see what happens? So in the next one, I will probably try and give you guys some advance notice of when the live is going to be, so that we can get some more people on board. But really excited just to see people popping up. I'm just reading here. Michael says, thank you for the answer. Way helpful. I'm glad it could be Michael, and feel free ask me any more questions you might have, just to get an idea. How did you come across Home Assistant? For me, Home Assistant was an easy answer. So when I started with home automation, the first thing that I bought was a smart bulb. So I bought one of those LED downlights, colored LED downlights that was installed in the ceiling, and it connected to the Tuya system. So I linked that up. I loaded the Tuya app onto my iPhone, and I connected onto that. And it was really exciting to see that I could actually control this bulb and everything worked. The next component that I bought was an Amazon smart speaker. I won't say the name. That was awesome. That was incredible as well, to just be able to speak to this device and find that I could link that up to my smart bulb. They would talk to each other. I could tell it, turn the lights on, green, red, blue, whatever. So that was pretty exciting. But after that, I think I bought a camera next. And after that, I was really keen to actually try and find a way of tying these things together. So, yes, the Amazon network does allow you to connect quite a few different devices. But with it being all in the cloud, I was quite keen to actually get a device that I could use locally on my home network. So I started watching heaps and heaps of YouTube videos. And guys that I started with were the likes of Dr. Z's was a big one. He's obviously a champion at live stream, and would love to be able to get to that level at some stage. But yeah, Dr. Z was incredible. I would definitely check him out if you haven't seen him. But there's some incredible people. And that's one of the reason that I chose to go with Home Assistant, is that having a look at the videos that are out there, the sort of options I considered was HomeKit. So I do have an Apple iPhone, so that made sense. And I did play around with HomeKit. I still use it. However, one of the things that immediately um, made me move towards Home Assistant was the fact that it has got so many integration into all of these different products out there. So what I did was I watched videos, watched videos, and then I eventually decided to take the plunge. I had an old Raspberry Pi 3. I downloaded the Home Assistant, stuck it on an SD card, put it in, and bam, pretty amazing how up it comes. You can log in, create your login, and you can start playing. And the first thing that I tried to load up onto it was a Tuya device. And that was where it started to get pretty tricky, because at that stage, the Tuya integration was an absolute nightmare. You had to go in and create this special developer sign in into the Tuya website. You had to get all sorts of information. It was just an absolute nightmare. A friend of mine then showed me how to use Tuya Local, the hack system. That turned out to be even more difficult. Once I got it going, went for a while, then fell over. So at that stage, I actually wrote off the Tuya system, any of the Tuya plugs or any of the devices altogether. Actually ended up giving away all of my Tuya devices to a friend of mine at work. However, it was a learning curve for me. I must admit that in the most recent update, I've just got Tuya working with the new Home Assistant Tuya integration. And wow, Paulus and the guys, I am blown away. That is just incredible. So easy to connect. So far, my devices that I've linked up via the new Tuya integration have been absolutely rock solid. So I'm actually gone out and ordered myself a couple more Tuya devices again, and I'm going to be playing a lot more with that because it looks like there's some really good things to come along with that. So once I'd given up on Tuya, I decided to move along to, I'd seen a lot of talk about Shelly's. So I bought an old Shelly One, the little blue round Shelly One. That for me was really cool to actually have a local device that I could plug in or connect it up to my Wi-Fi, and then see that the relay was opening and closing based on the request. Super easy to integrate that into Home Assistant, and that was a really good start. That got me going on the local control angle. Although I must admit, I most recently tried something which was to actually disconnect my internet, and for some reason or other, my Shelly light switches are not working when disconnected from the internet. So I'm not sure if there's anyone out there that can help me with that, but be very interested to know why they were not working. So yeah, obviously my Zigbee network was all up and running without internet. And I've got a Miros smart LED lamp that I did a video on about a month or so ago. That was working completely offline. So that was great to see. But seems like there's a bit of questionability about local devices being able to work without the internet for some reason or another. So, getting back to my early days of home automation. So, got the Shelly working. That was really exciting. Got it installed. One of the first projects I did with Shelly, apart from installing it in a light switch, was the garage door opener. I watched a really cool video on how to create a automatic garage door opener using Shelly One and a reed switch. And yep, that worked really, really well. I got it up and running within a couple of hours, and it worked absolutely perfectly. So that was awesome. The next project that I actually looked at in one of my first my first ever YouTube video that I did for Simon Says, was a project which is using a ESP32 along with the little LED light sensor, which is the Home Assistant Glow. So created that, built it up, connected it up or stuck it on using a piece of tape onto my smart meter. and started watching as the LED was flashing on the smart meter. And immediately that was pulling information through into my home assistant and was telling me how much power I was consuming. So that still to this day, to me, is one of the absolute top projects that I've ever built with an ESP32 and ESP Home. I'm a really big fan of ESP Home. I think it's amazing actually being able to build up your own devices using the ESP32 system and being able to connect up using those DuPont jumper cables so you don't even have to worry about soldering and building your own devices. So that was my sort of first video. The second video that I did, and it's quite amazing. This has been one of the most watched videos that I've ever created, was my tank level meter. So at that stage, I was living out in Beecham, which is a sort of a rural community, and the one of the things we had there was we didn't have water supplied by the town system. So what I would do is I was looking around, and there were a number of ways that you could actually measure, because you have these two big tanks, 22,000 liter tanks. And when it rains, all the water runs off the roof and it fills these tanks up. And that's the water that you live on. Now, come January, February, which is the dry time here in New Zealand, we often run out of water. So you need a way to actually find out how much water you've got in the tank. So there's a couple of ways you can do it. There's a really basic way, which is a float, a ball float with a long metal stick. And the farther that's sticking out, you can see how much water you've got. But being a techie, I had to find out a electronic way of doing this, and I wanted to connect this up to Home Assistant. So there are a couple of guys producing systems that you can buy, pretty expensive, sort of $300, $400, $500 for one of these systems. And I wasn't sure how well they would integrate into Home Assistant either. So what I did was I searched around once again on YouTube, and I found a really cool video on how to do this. And I ordered the parts in from AliExpress. They arrived within a couple of weeks, and was quite amazed. It was the first time I played with a Shelly Uni. Shelly Uni to me is one of the most underrated devices out there. It's a really cool little board which comes without a case. It's literally just the board. You hook it up to a 12-volt supply. I think you can go up to 30 volts. 12 volts for me was quite convenient. So I hooked it up to a 12-volt power supply, and then I hooked it up to this metal diaphragm sensor that you throw into the tank, goes down to the bottom of the tank and measures the pressure of the water inside the tank. And then it gives you a variable voltage reading based on the pressure. So I linked all this up and connected that into Home Assistant. And it seems like there's a lot of people that are very interested in doing this, because I had a huge response about that. So that was fascinating, and certainly a very interesting project. Some of the other projects that I've built, let me just check the chat. Sorry, guys, I've been chatting away here. And let's have a look here. We've got a message here from Christoph. I actually used your tank meter project, so thanks for that. Excellent, Christoph. So glad that you managed to use it, and you've got it in production within a few months. That's great to hear. I'm so excited to hear that, actually hear from someone that's done that and that it's worked for you. Ordered the same parts via the links you provided. Awesome. So the AliExpress links that I put up there, I really appreciate your guys' support. Those are affiliate links. The products cost you exactly the same, but I get a small amount, and it's just really great because it allows me to buy more components that I can test for use on this channel. Tested and is working perfectly. Christoph, that is absolutely fantastic to hear. So glad it's worked well for you. And I look forward to providing more and more projects that can help people like Christoph out there to actually build up their smart home and to build custom built sensors. Now, the next custom built device that I decided to do was the thing that I do for work. I work for a German company, and we work in the building industry. We supply air tightness membranes, and as part of that, you need a ventilation system, a heat recovery ventilation system that replaces the air inside the building. And because we're so interested in airflow, air quality, air tightness, energy efficiency, all of these things, um, the owner of our business bought these small CO2 sensors that we could use to actually go around and monitor CO2 in the hotels that we stayed in around the country, just as an awareness type of thing. And what actually ended up happening was that I wanted, this was prior to that device actually being available with a Home Assistant integration. However, I actually took this device, played around with it, and thought, well, why don't I build my own carbon dioxide sensor? So I did a little bit of research once again on YouTube, and I came across the MHZ19 sensor. Now, this is really cool because when you look at CO2 sensors, there's a whole lot of different CO2 sensors out there on the market. And there's some really, really bad ones out there. I ordered a couple off various websites just to try them out. And some of the cheap ones, and I'm not talking that cheap, we're talking $60, um, a whole case system with a display and everything. It's just absolutely useless because when it comes to measuring carbon dioxide, there is a specific way of doing it that works really well. And then there's a really cheap way of doing it that works really badly. So a lot of these sensors and devices that you order can have the really cheap version. So the way that I've done it is with an infrared light signal that is passed up the one side and then reflected back using a mirror. And what actually happens is as the CO2 air within the actual sensor blocks some of those infrared rays moving through, you actually get a less of that light signal coming back to the receiver on the other side. So what actually happens is that you are able to, based off that, the system can actually measure how many parts per million of CO2. So this MHZ19, I've hooked it up to my ESP32, and it worked absolutely amazing. If anyone's interested in CO2, I would definitely recommend playing around with one of those devices because the results are just fantastic. And it's really interesting to put it into an area, especially your bedroom. Set one of those up in the bedroom at night and record the data overnight and see what the results are. I think you'll be quite amazed. When I started doing this, I was reaching up to 2,000 parts per million in the bedroom overnight. And that was because I was closing the window. You don't want cold air coming in. There was no fresh air. And effectively, that CO2 is just building up. And once you hit over 1,000 parts per million, that's when it starts sort of affecting your brain function. And you can end up waking up at like 2 o'clock in the morning with a headache. And this can be caused to a high concentration of CO2 in the room. So what I've done now is I've installed this ventilation system, which actually pumps air into the bedroom on a continuous basis. So I've actually got an automation already set up with that device where I can automatically trigger a boost onto the ventilation system that will actually boost the system when I'm having a shower and the moisture level has increased. Now, another way that I could control this is through CO2. So I could, for example, say when it goes over 1,000 parts per million, put the system into boost mode. The only issue about that is that you're fast asleep and then you hear this rushing of air as the system ramps up to full speed. So that's something I haven't quite worked out yet, but that's another good automation that you can do using CO2. Certainly in the rest of your house, if you're having a party or something, it would be very useful if the CO2 levels go high to boost up the ventilation level and get better air quality inside your home for that party. So yeah, building custom devices for me has been really exciting, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more. So if any of you've got ideas of what would be interesting to see, please feel free to send them my way. Now, another area of sensor that I've been playing with that has certainly been of a lot of interest on YouTube has been millimeter wave sensors. So PIR sensors, really great. I've played with them quite a while, but you do have the limitation of the fact that they will pick up when you walk into a room, but the moment you leave a room, well, the moment you sitting still in the room, they will not actually measure and the light will go out. So I first of all ordered a really cheap little $5 sensor, hooked it up, and was quite amazed to see how this device is working because it actually sort of could measure how far away I was from the sensor. It could measure movement in the room. It can measure all sorts of things. Anyway, this little device is $5 sensor. It runs extremely hot when you plug it in. So not sure on the longevity of that specific device. And also, it was using Bluetooth low energy to connect into my Home Assistant. And I did get some feedback from people that had used those for long term that they were actually losing contact or not working that well. So it was an interesting one to play around. But since then, I have started testing heaps of different millimeter wave sensors. And that's been really fascinating. I've tested about 5 different products now, and I found them to be quite amazing. They each have their own pluses and minuses. For example, I recently tested the Sonoff one, which is super simple. It literally only tells you if there's presence in the room. And in some ways, that's really nice because it's simple and it does the job really well. Some of the other ones I've done, the Squeak one that I tried was quite cool because the Squeak actually gives you those zone sensing. So you can set up a zone and the device can actually measure, am I in that zone, and actually trigger some sort of an automation based on that zone. So that's pretty cool. There's, of course, the Aqara FP2 sensor, which is really popular. A lot of people have been trying that out. I haven't tried one out as yet, but feedback from a lot of people is that, yes, the sensor is great, but it's pretty reliant on the app to actually set up the zones. And it's really a device that is more designed for Apple HomeKit connection rather than Home Assistant. I think the Home Assistant one is a little bit of a hack around using the Apple HomeKit. So I will be ordering one of those at some stage and trying it out, but I've had a lot of fun trying the cheaper ones. The Aqara is pretty expensive. For me in New Zealand, I'm looking at about $120 to order an Aqara FP2 at the moment. So for me, it's been fascinating trying the cheaper ones. The Atom one was something that I really liked. The Atom one has got a PIR sensor and a millimeter wave sensor include in the same system. I seem to remember it's also got a light sensor. So that's quite a cool one because it's got both. And then you can use the PIR to actually initially trigger the light turning on. And then you can use the millimeter wave to keep the light turned on. So they're actually a very good combination to use both of them together. So that's been an exciting journey for me. Looking at some of the other areas that I've been playing with, cameras is something that I haven't had a huge amount to do with yet. I have got a Reolink camera outdoor at the moment that is showing or picking up the front area of my house, and it gives me a good sort of view of the front garden and the street and everything up to my front door. It works fairly well. One of the things that I find a little bit frustrating, and be interesting if anyone knows about it or how to fix it, but initially when I connected that device up using the Reolink integration into Home Assistant, I was able to have live feed coming onto my dashboard. Now, recently, it's basically a 10-second refresh. And I'm not quite sure. Someone else was talking about it on YouTube a while ago, but haven't actually managed to pick up how we can actually do that as a live feed. There was some mention of the RTS stream being able to be done with live, but yeah, any feedback you guys have got, if you know how to connect it for a live stream, it would be good. Another thing that I would like to do with cameras at some stage is delve into the AI side of the cameras and actually start doing something like Frigate. I did quite a while ago buy the Google Coral, the little USB accelerator. Really keen to try that out with Frigate. However, I'm still working on my skills of sort of understanding how to set up Frigate inside a Docker and connect it to the Google Coral. So yeah, that's something down the line, something I'm certainly interested in, but not something that I've actually got to play with as yet. Looking at doorbell cameras, currently I've got the Ring doorbell camera. I haven't done a video on that yet, but to tell the truth, I'm quite impressed with the Ring doorbell. Now, I'm seeing a lot of people talking at the moment about the fact that doorbell cameras and especially the ones that have these paid subscriptions, a lot of people are really frustrated with having to pay. And yes, I'm not crazy about paying either, but there are some reasons why I don't mind paying for that Ring doorbell camera. And the reasons that I would get down to is, first of all, it's recording up to the cloud, which for me is in a way quite a benefit. First of all, I don't have to worry about setting up an NVR to record the information here in my house. Secondly, if I've got a recording system inside my house, if someone breaks into my home, they could actually pick up that unit, take it away with them, and then I no longer have the footage. So, from that benefit, I'm actually quite keen on having it recorded to the cloud. Now, looking at that Ring camera, it's always interesting when you order a new smart home device, the sort of feeling you get from the moment you open up the package. And I didn't order the latest version. I ordered the oldest version. I can't remember if it's version 1 or 2 of the Ring doorbell camera. But I was very impressed from the moment go, opening up the package with the quality of that device. It is very easy to understand the setup instructions, the app downloaded onto my phone really easily, connected up very easily. I had no issues at all getting it connected. It connected automatically with my Amazon Show 5. And to me, I wasn't even aware when I bought it that the two companies were connected and that these devices worked together. Now, I'm going to interrupt myself quickly here. Sorry, I've just noticed we've got some comment here on the stream. Need a new mic for the hypervisor Proxmox, either 1 or 2.5 gig, thinking a dual NUC. Need a new NUC for the hypervisor. Any recommendations? Now, I'm going to tell you straight up, I am not quite sure about Proxmox. I haven't played with that. Let's see here. Blue Iris is a good option for security camera. Just don't bother me with Arlo. Okay, interesting. Network interface card. Nick. Okay, my apologies. One thing I will admit to you guys, I am not an absolute technical guru. I studied a little bit of electronics and I love playing, but I am still learning a lot. So please forgive me if you ask things that I am not aware of. So, network interface card, if you could just tell me, Logic 23, what a NIC is used for, and then I can maybe have a little bit of a better of an understanding there. I must admit, sorry, you've hit me for a bit of a spin here. I'm sorry. I don't actually know what a NIC is used for. So if you can give me some feedback or anyone else on the stream here, that would be really awesome. So anyway, just before I get some response on that, just to give you a little bit more of my going down the path of the of my doorbell. Now, the doorbell, the Ring actually connected really, really well into Home Assistant. It's really great to be able to have pop-ups coming on my phone when someone arrives at the front door, or pop-ups on the actual Amazon Show 5 inside the house. I'm really impressed with it, I must admit. I'm seeing a lot of complaints about them, but the combination at the moment of having a Ring doorbell camera and the Reolink cameras are working really, really well. So I do appreciate your feedback here about the Arlo cameras. I've never tried an Arlo camera. I did have some experience with some Eufy cameras the other day. Eufy seems to be quite popular, but I did actually help a friend of mine recently with setting up some Eufy cameras, and we had a huge amount of battle. They were battery powered cameras, and we had a huge amount of battle actually getting them connected up. So my initial experience with Eufy was not great. I won't write it off because I haven't actually had one for myself, but for me, they weren't great. Okay, all right. So we've got some more information. What you connect your RJ45 network cable to the port card inside your computer or laptop. Okay. All right. I'm with you now. So this is all right. So I'm not a super boffin on connecting up computers. I just bought a computer off the shelf from my local computer store and plugged it in. And currently, mine is connecting via Wi-Fi to my network. I'm running Home Assistant at the moment on a Home Assistant Yellow. So sorry about that, Logic 23. Um, just yeah, I don't have a huge amount of experience in the networking side of things. Home automation is really what I'm playing around with, but always happy to learn. So I'm assuming that you are running your devices. Okay, here we go. Here's another question. Fast how to. Awesome, mate. I really like your content. Um, I hope you've got a good whiskey there that you're busy drinking at the moment. Very impressed with how your channel's going, mate. And it is very, very good to have you here on my live stream. This is an absolute first for me, and hence you'll see my embarrassment about being caught out by questions that I'm not quite experienced enough to answer here. But yeah, really appreciate the friendliness of this channel. Thank you. I do have a nice whiskey. You've been doing quite well yourself. Thank you so much, mate. One thing I've really enjoyed about being on YouTube and in a home automation, home assistant channel is the support of everyone out there. It's a fantastic community. Um, I don't know if you guys listen to the podcast, the Home Assistant podcast, but that is absolutely awesome. That's one of the ways that I really got into Home Assistant was listening to those podcasts because they're incredible. Um, the guys talk every month about the latest releases on Home Assistant, and secondly, they talk about the on the second version or the second edition, they get along a guy out in there in the community that's using Home Assistant. And they've had some absolutely awesome interviews. One of the ones I really enjoyed was Rosemary Orchard. Rosemary Orchard is someone from iOS Today. She specializes in Apple automations and super awesome. But yeah, for any of you guys, I would really recommend listening to the Home Assistant podcast. All right. So moving forward, and having a look at just a couple of other comments here. All right. So Blue Iris, I've heard a little bit about that. I'm assuming Blue Iris is some type of a recording software which is used for recording your camera streams locally and for analyzing them and doing AI sort of object recognition and things on your camera stream. Now, that's something that I'm really interested in getting into, but at the same time, I'm realizing my limitations at the moment around that whole side. So it is something I'm interested and I look forward to growing and learning. We've got another guy, Eli. I hope is it Eli or Ellie? Please forgive my pronunciation if it's wrong. He's saying hi from Perth. Perth is an awesome place. I haven't been to Perth as yet. I'm based in Auckland. Been to visit a few places in Australia, namely Gold Coast. I've been to Melbourne and Sydney, but Perth not as yet. Would Eli? There we go, mate. Welcome on board. Thank you. I see that you are one of the subscribers to my channel, and I know you've commented in the past. So I really do appreciate everyone that makes comments on my channel. As a relatively new YouTube channel creator, it is really fantastic to have feedback from the audience. You've got no idea how exciting it is when the first comment comes up there. And a lot of people say, oh, scared of trolls and this and that. But to be honest with you, I have only had 1 or 2 negative comments on my channel. So I really, really do appreciate all of you guys' support. And I appreciate too that I'm being quite honest with you. I'm not an IT guru by any means. I don't have IT training. I have a very basic electronics background, but I am learning as we go. So I'm learning from you guys as much as you learn from me. So literally, probably 90% of the time that I spend on this channel is actually watching other people's videos and learning more about this whole home automation thing. Let's see what is Ellie saying. Eli, your videos are great. Keep up the good work. Thank you, mate. I really, really do appreciate that. It is just fantastic to have the support of everyone. And what's interesting is I see that there's a lot of home automation guys there in Australia. And what would be really cool is to arrange some sort of a meetup at some stage, somewhere between Australia and New Zealand, and we can get a whole lot of the guys together. I'd love to meet some of the audience that I've got around the world as well, but obviously me being based in New Zealand, Australia is a bit closer. So it would be really great to organize some sort of a meetup at some stage in New Zealand or Australia. So let's see what we can do, because it'd be really great to meet some fellow home automation people in the flesh, like I see a lot of sort of meetups happening in the USA. Talking about the USA, another thing that I'm really passionate about and I would love to actually go along to is CES. Every year I watch the CES videos that people put out there, and I am planning not next year, but CES 2026 to go along. So it'd be really great to have some meetups there at CES with anyone else that is going to be going to CES, because it just looks an incredible place to me. I grew up in South Africa and currently living in Auckland, New Zealand. And obviously the shows and things here are a lot smaller, but CES sounds just amazing. The idea of being able to go and touch and play with all of those smart home products, I think is just incredible. Now, moving forward, first of all, thank you to everyone that is on this live stream. And I do really appreciate your support. I can't believe I've been going for almost an hour, and it is just a whole heap of fun. Making videos is fun, but live streaming for me is just, wow, it's just next level. So you'll definitely be getting more live streams from me. In the future, I will plan to have a little bit of more topic that we can discuss. And I will also give you all some notice about when the night live stream will be taking place. I will be having a look at time slots as to when will be the most suitable time. So if anyone can tell me from their side what times are good for live streams, please let me know. Some of the live streams I see are very early in the morning, around 5 a.m. New Zealand time. So that might be something suitable. I'm an early riser. So at the current moment, it is 12:44 p.m. over here. So what is that over in the USA? Just let me know on the feed there, because obviously we're quite a big time zone difference, and I'd love to be able to get as many people involved as possible. Obviously, I have a big audience here in Australia and New Zealand, as well as the US. Okay. been 20 plus years since I purchased a new NIC. Intel still the go-to. Thanks. Some things don't change, I guess. Okay, well, that's pretty impressive, Logix 23, that you've been using a NIC for 20 plus years. Wow, that's quite amazing. I mean, if you look at the sort of changes that we've seen in technology, the fact that a network interface card can be communicating at the current on the current systems that we're running is quite amazing. So, yeah, I look forward to your feedback, Logic 23. Please let me know if you are upgrading, what you go to, and what it is. So, personally, for my own computer, I'm going to be running a hard wire from my router back to my PC so that I can get a better quality connection. Currently, I'm getting good download speeds up to 400 meg. So, it is pretty good at the moment, but going with a hard wire would definitely be a better way. Now, let's see. Maybe a bit earlier would be great. It's 0:44 a.m. here. Wow, in Belgium. Okay, so in Belgium it's 1:45. Wow, you're up pretty late there, Christoph. That is, I will definitely do it earlier next time. I'm thinking about 5 a.m. or maybe 6. I don't know. I don't know what time people are up. It's very difficult. Maybe I need to have two separate streams, one for the guys on that side of the world and another for the guys on this side of the world, because I don't want to miss out on touching base with all of you lovely people out there. So let's have a look here. I'm in central mainland USA. Would be between 6:44 p.m. and 3:44 p.m. So I'm assuming there'll be a good time, or are you having dinner at that time? I don't know. I'm going to do a bit of research. Literally, this live stream has just been off the cuff. I've been thinking about it all week. I went in, turned the computer on, and I went live. So please forgive any planning. But yeah, I definitely will look at Pacific West Coast US. Okay. Yeah. So as I say, for me at the moment, 12:44. But if I go live around 5 a.m. here. Now, luckily, I'm an early morning person. I'm an early riser. I'm normally up at about 4:30 or 5 o'clock anyway. So quite easy for me to go live. But I'm also happy to have other streams at other times to facilitate connection with people out in the Australia and New Zealand time. So, yeah, I'll probably do a sort of mix of streams between the morning, one early morning, and maybe one early evening, and see what the response is. I know that the guys in Australia are 2 hours behind us, so maybe it's a little bit later. Anyway, we'll work that out, but I will give everyone notice about the streams in the future. Now, I think there was a comment here. Some things don't change. A bit earlier would be great. Okay, awesome. Yeah. So definitely coming up in the future, we'll work on the time zones. Now, just talking a little bit more about home automation. Now, one thing that I would really like to be able to automate, don't know if you guys have seen these. So this is a Godox light. So I use these lights. I'll turn it on now. Hopefully I won't blind you guys. We'll turn it away. There we go. So these are photographic lights that I use to light up my background over here. Now, they come from a company called Godox. Wrong way up. There we go. Godox. There we are. They're pretty cool. They've got LEDs, colored LEDs in them, and they've got a little display that tells you what's going on. Now, these can be controlled via Bluetooth on an app, the Godox app. But unfortunately, there is no Home Assistant integration for these at the moment. So, yeah, just out there, if anyone knows Godox, it'd be really good to get some sort of an automation going with those little devices. So, oh, my screen went dead. There we go. Now, some of the other things that I'm really excited with for this year. Meta, I've been playing with Meta devices, and I'm excited to see where Meta is going to go. Something I haven't tried as yet is Thread. Now, Thread to me is quite a cool idea. It's running on the same system or the same wavelength, I believe, or very close to as Zigbee. The radio that is included in the Home Assistant Yellow is able to be a dual communication system. So it can communicate both on Zigbee as well as Thread at the same time. So that's pretty exciting. So I'm actually going to look at ordering some type of a Thread device soon and start playing around with that and see how it works with having a Zigbee communication operating at the same time as a Thread communication. The Thread devices seem to be coming in relatively slowly. I see in the UK there is a company called Eve that is producing a lot of Thread devices, and really keen to try out some of those Thread devices from Eve. However, it's quite difficult to order Eve devices. It seems I think they're based in the UK, and it seems to be quite difficult to get them sent out to us down at the bottom of the world here in New Zealand. We're quite lucky with China because China being reasonably close, items from AliExpress and that seem to arrive in sort of anywhere between a week and 3 weeks. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I would love to try out a Thread device soon and see how that works out. Some of the other things that have been really exciting for me in the last short while is playing around with some of the other technologies that are coming on board. So LED strips are pretty cool. The WLED is absolutely awesome. I don't know if you guys have tried WLED, but that is amazing. Here's another comment. Haven't had a chance to try that yet, but I plan to integrate my large studio lights. Oh, awesome. So do you also use the Godox lights? I've got 3 different Godox lights here, and they all work on different systems. Absolutely crazy. 2 of them work on 433 megahertz controllers. So I went and bought a remote control for the one. It worked on the one. I then bought another light and it works on a different 433 megahertz controller. I then bought these little sticks and they work on Bluetooth, and not one of them will work together. Unbelievable from a company that's producing pretty reasonable quality lights, and the fact that they're all on different systems. I would like to be able to come into my studio in the morning, press a button on my Stream Deck, and fire up all my lights, and then be able to adjust the temperature and the color and things all through Home Assistant. So let's hope something like it comes. I have an Aperture, but the link above is to the article of how you reverse engineer Bluetooth to write your own HA integrations. Had a chance to try that yet. 433 megahertz, you can just use a bridge. Hang on, I'll find it. Yeah, so with 433, that is quite interesting. Which bridge are you using there? So I've got the Broadlink, this one over here. There it is. I've got this little guy. Now, I believe that this one works on 433 as well as infrared. There we go. So, yes, that's what I've got as well. Awesome. So, tell me, have you actually created or are you able to control your Godox lights with this device? If so, please can you let me know how you're doing that? Because I am absolutely dying to work out how to do this. Even if I can control the 243 megahertz ones for a start, that will be awesome. Then I don't have to rely on my smart plugs controlling them, because the smart plug will turn them on and off, but it will not give you any control over the brightness, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't have any Godox. I want some, but the difficulty in controlling them is holding me back. Yeah, I would totally agree. So this is a typical thing about any electronic device that you buy. And this is what I have seen with playing with home automation and home assistants. You have to buy devices and play around with them. And yes, you can do your research on the internet and hopefully find out. Let's turn my little clock back on this. Alanzi's died for some reason. I'm not sure why. Let's see. This is a really cool little device. Don't know what you guys think of these, but really, really awesome. I have actually integrated this with Home Assistant so that I can create my own custom messages appearing on there. So anyway, getting back to lights. Yes, so that is really frustrating. The fact that you buy all these devices, same manufacturer, and they don't even talk the same language. So I must admit, Godox, I will not be buying any more Godox products. I will definitely be moving away and having a look at other manufacturers because it is extremely frustrating. When I was building up the studio, I was buying secondhand gear off Trade Me and things. So I just bought whatever I can find. But yeah, in the future, I will be looking. So this clock, yeah, really good question. So this is an Ulanzi clock. They are really, really cost effective. I think they cost about $70 New Zealand, shipped off AliExpress. You can find a link on my YouTube channel. There's a link that I've created to this. They are really awesome. It's got a little battery in there, so it will run off battery for about 4 hours. It is fully controllable. There is effectively, it connects via MQTT. And yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Currently, as you can see, it's just giving me the time, but I can scroll through various different. Oh, there we go. I can scroll. Now, that temperature that you're seeing there, let's move it up here so that the camera will. The temperature you're seeing is not the temperature here. It's a lot hotter than that. This is some other location, and I can't get it to change. Humidity, no, that's not my humidity. That's the battery, and that is the date and time. Now, you can actually control these via Home Assistant using MQTT, and there are lots of videos out there. I can in the description to or the video for this clock, there is actually a whole link to some other videos on how to use it with home automation, Home Assistant. So, sorry, let me get back to the comments here. You send a message via MQTT. Have you made a video about it? And I missed it. Yes, there is a video on my channel. If you scroll back into my channel, there's a video on it. I don't actually show exactly how to do the whole MQTT thing because people with more experience than me actually created the way to communicate with it. But yeah, all the links are there. So have a look at it. Broadlink learns, but the Godox and Bluetooth are Bluetooth and not 433. Yes. So these ones are Bluetooth. However, the other ones, which is a SL60W, is 433. And then I've got a FW150, I think it is. And that is also 433, but two different 433 megahertz systems. So, yeah, very, very frustrating. Oh, okay. Bought the Broadlink to control my AC via infrared. Yes, this will definitely work to do your AC, Christoph. I did do a video about this little device. They are very, very popular. They work really well, easy to connect, easy integration into Home Assistant, and you can effectively program this to run any device you want. So, yeah, a big fan of these. They're very popular. They work well, and I would definitely recommend it. Let's see. Can you update the location via MQTT? Yeah, that's a very good question. There should be a way to update the location. However, I don't know how. What I will do is I will actually message. Let me just see while I'm talking to you guys if I can find the information on that device without causing issues here with my stream. Let's have a look. So I can't find it now. What I will do is I will. Oh, what is that guy's name? Hold on a second. Let me just see if I can find. There we go. Smart Home Junkie. Do you guys watch Smart Home Junkie? So he is the one that has created all the legwork behind this little clock over here. So check out Smart Home Junkie. He's done some really great tutorials on this device, and I will actually go back to him and ask him about how we can change the location, because it would be pretty cool to have it bringing through that. However, using the MQTT and using what are they? I think they blueprints that he's created to control that device. Using those, you can actually push whatever you want to that little clock. It's really cool. So that is a lot of fun. Another little LED. I love these sort of small LED displays. Another one that I did actually splash out big time and buy the other day. I haven't done a video on it yet, but is the Yeelink. You know those little Yeelink cubes? Now, those are absolutely awesome. At the moment, I think I've got 4 or 5 of them, and they can produce a clock, and they can produce a whole lot of little colors and things. And it'll be interesting to see how you can create more customized content pushing out to those devices. But yeah, there's some great LED products coming onto the market at the moment. And what is really cool is doing some of the stuff yourself as well. So I don't know how many of you have played around with WLED, but WLED is almost as cool as Home Assistant and ESP Home. It is just amazing. So WLED is effectively a software that you load onto your ESP32, and you connect it up directly to a addressable LED string. And you can then do literally just amazing things. I've only scratched the surface with it. I've just played around with it a little bit, and it's been a lot of fun. But I definitely want to learn a lot about WLED, and I want to play around with it a lot more with light strips. I don't actually have any ESP32 stuff yet. Well, there we go. Challenge to you. Order yourself an ESP32 and play with it. That to me was one of the most incredible discoveries of what modern electronics has done. As I said earlier in the stream, when I came into the electronics field back in the 80s, we were literally limited to things like 555 timers, op amps, discrete components such as transistors, and we had basic and NAND gates that you could buy in a little package. That was all we had back in the 80s to play with. So coming back into the electronics field somewhere around 2 to 3 years ago and seeing this little thing called the ESP32 or 8266 for me was just fantastic. These things are just amazing. You literally order them for somewhere around, well, less than 10 New Zealand dollars. And you've got this little device that can do unbelievable things. You can load it up either with ESP Home or with Tasmoda. Tasmoda is another software package that I would definitely, or system that I would definitely play with. Tasmoda is another way that you can load an ESP32, and then you can communicate via MQTT from Home Assistant using Mosquito Broker. So ESP Home is just absolutely cool, and I would try it out. If you haven't ordered an ESP, powered it up, and connected a relay or something to it, I would really recommend that you try it out. It's one of the best feelings on earth, where you can take one of those devices and connect up a couple of sensors and a couple of relays to one ESP32 and do almost anything with it. And the beauty about it is it will even work away from Home Assistant. So you can actually control it to have its own logic that will work even when not connected to Home Assistant. So it's an incredible device, and I look forward. The new versions are pretty cool now that are coming out with the screens. I got one recently which actually sniffs out 433 megahertz signals, and I was hoping to basically sniff the signal coming from my weather station. So I did a weather station video early in my days, and I love my weather station. I bought it, and at the moment, it's communicating. It is a Wi-Fi based weather station, and there's a hex based cloud integration that pulls the data into Home Assistant. For me, it has been fascinating watching the weather, watching when it rains, when it doesn't, the wind, temperatures, humidities, how as the temperature goes up, the humidity goes down. It's just incredible. So I would certainly recommend getting a weather station. Now, sorry, I've got off track again, but getting a weather station directly into Home Assistant locally of 4 to 33 megahertz is there's a lot of videos of guys showing you how to do it. And I thought I would do it. Typical to me, I ordered the ESP32 that was on 750 or something megahertz instead of 433. Or sorry, I ordered the 433 and my weather station is actually on 755 or something like that. So I ended up with a problem where the little sniffer works great. I connected it up and I've been sniffing devices all around me. I'm still working out how to actually decipher those signals because I quite like the idea of being able to sniff other people's weather stations because my weather station at the moment is taking a lot of UV strain. It's been sitting out in the New Zealand sun for 3 years now, and those plastics are ready to break. So I don't know how long it's going to last. So my idea is I should have got myself some water. Next time on the live stream, I'll definitely have some water with me. Now, I don't actually have any. Okay, that's the same comment. Awesome. So weather stations, 433 megahertz. Yeah, I like the idea of actually being able to sniff out a weather station, pull in data directly into Home Assistant, and play around with that data because it's really cool. Now, talking about data, one of the things I do like with Home Assistant, what they've recently done is they've changed the data recording. It was only recording for 10 days, but now it's basically seems to be eternal recording, which is really awesome because I have set up the other databases in Home Assistant at one stage or another, and the Grafana graphing software and all that. I did set that all up, but for some reason or other, when I killed my Home Assistant, when I moved to the new house and created a new version, I'm having problems getting the external Grafana and one of the external databases actually running. So I still need to fiddle around, play with it, and get it working. But at the moment, for me, one of the things that's really fascinating is watching the trends of different things that happen in your house and outside of your house. So, watching, for example, long term climate trends like temperatures, humidities, rainfall. Um, One of the really interesting ones is actually barometric pressure. So, I don't know if you remember, but in the old days when the guys used to go out on the ships, conquering the world, the only way they could prepare for storms was watching the barometer. And the barometer is actually amazing the way you can actually watch as the pressure starts falling. Well, there's a storm on the way. So, yeah, weather is really cool. And I look forward to doing more weather related topics in the future. Now, other things that I'm looking forward to in the future, um, measurement of air quality. Oh, actually, here's another comment. I have a Broadlink pressure gauge on my little fishing boat. Most helpful. Oh, there we go. Yeah, the Broadlinks. I mean, you have a barometer. Oh, sorry, I'm reading the wrong things here. Next time, note to me, have my glasses with. Okay, barometric pressure gauge on my fishing boat. That is awesome. I used to do some jet ski fishing not long ago. That was a bit of fun, but don't have a boat at the moment. But yeah, it's pretty awesome to get out on the water. And yeah, it is really important to watch for the weather. And yeah, watching that barometric pressure stuff is quite amazing because it just really gives you a picture of actually what's going on with the weather. Now, along with the weather, talking about air quality to me is a fascinating topic. Um, so currently, I'm measuring temperature, humidity, CO2. But the next thing that I want to look at is the PM, parts per million. And you can measure that in a 2.5, I think a 10, X number of Anyway, the PM sensor is one that I want to order next so that I can start having a look at further air quality components. So if anyone can recommend a good air quality sensor, please let me know and I'll order one of those and we can start playing around with that. Some other things that we could be measuring is volatile organic compounds, and then obviously some of the other gases. So I don't use gas for cooking here. I've got electric cooking, so I'm not too worried about sort of gas things in the air. But yeah, I'm fascinated with measuring air quality, and it'd be interesting to see what other sort of things we could measure in the future going forward. Another thing that I'm quite interested in. So for my job, I work in the construction industry, and we work with energy efficient buildings, things like passive houses, whereby they are designed to be very energy efficient and they have a heat recovery ventilator exchanging the air. So one of my interests obviously is building and performance. And I'm working with one of my customers at the moment who's actually, he's really, really experienced when it comes to using Home Assistant. And what he's done, he's built a small house. He's actually installed about 50 or 100 sensors in this house. He's measuring things like temperature and humidity right from underneath the ground right into his roof. So he's able to see temperatures. He's got, for example, a ground source heat pump. He's got all sorts of fascinating things. His name is Casper, and I'll definitely like to do an interview with him at some stage and show you what he's done. He's actually got these details that appear on his Home Assistant dashboard, which actually show you a detail of the wall through the wall. So you can see from one side of the wall to the other side of the wall and all the different sensors at the different locations through the wall and what's going on around airflow in the cavity, airflow in the house. Oh, it's just amazing. So anyway, that's something that I'd like to play with in the future as well. But anyway, guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to call it quits. I've been going now for just over an hour, and I literally thought I was going to turn this on and have no one there, but it's been fantastic having you guys all turn up. I'm really excited about doing future. Okay, one last question. Here we go. What made you want to do a live stream? Okay, that's a very good question. I'm a real people's person. Okay. And I just love interacting with people. And that is something that I've sort of missed in my YouTube journey so far is the instant interaction. So I really enjoy putting out a video and I really enjoy the feedback that I get, but it's not instant. It's not like this where someone is asking me a question and I can answer them immediately. So that is why I wanted to try a live stream is I really like speaking to people. And the idea that I can switch on my system and have access to you guys and talk about home automation stuff for an hour or two or whatever we do is for me the epitome of having fun. So yeah, that is in honest truth why I thought I would try a live stream. I've been watching a lot of live streams. There's quite a lot involved in actually setting up a live stream if you do it like so. I use OBS a lot, which is my recording software that allows me to record different screens and stuff like that. And I was going to set it up with OBS, but there's quite a lot involved, and I didn't know whether live stream was going to work for me. But I thought, let me give it a try anyway. So I literally just turned it on, and it is just it's awesome. So hopefully next time it'll be more organized. I'll have some water with me to keep me going, and we will be able to actually do a few cooler other things. Like what I'd like to do in the live stream is whiskey. Well, there we go. What would you recommend to me that what sort of a drop should I have with me at the next live stream? Because that could be fun. It'll have to be a Saturday or a Sunday morning if we're going to have whiskey at 5 a.m. in the morning, because otherwise it could be a little bit of trouble if I have to go to work. So you name the drop, and at some stage or another, I will come on the live stream and I'll have a whiskey with me, and then we can do a cheers, because Yeah, I'm impressed with how your channel is coming on. It's just great to engage with other members of this home automation or home assistant creators network out there. Anything from Wild Turkey or Jim Beam is actually quite tasty and rather cost effective. Great. That sounds even better. Wild Turkey and Jim Beam, I think at some stage in my life, I would have tried definitely both of those. To give you an idea, I used to work. So we're talking a long time ago. I went over to UK in 1995, and I was working in a small, a stone place called Stonefield Castle Hotel, which is in Tarbet, which is on the west coast of Scotland. It's on one of those lochs. It's called Loch Fyne on the western coast of Scotland. And I was working in the bar there, and they had 40 single malt whiskies on the bar. So I did actually manage to try most of those. So I've tried some pretty amazing single malts out there, but that was a long time ago. And yeah, I really enjoy the channel, and obviously your audience loves it because you're getting some really good feedback from your audience, and I see your numbers are growing really quickly. Oh, for a single malt, Benrich, Benriach, is it? Definitely. Okay, well, I might start with maybe a Jim Beam for a start, and we'll see where it goes to for that. But that's going to be awesome. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for coming on board today. I know we've got a little bit of a track. Kia ora, bro. Oh, we've got a Kiwi here. Are most of your viewers from NZ? Looking over your videos, I think you're in NZ. Totally, mate. I am based in NZ. Are you really in North Park? Because North Park is literally within a couple of kilometers from here. Is that North Park in Howick, or were you just called North Park Lights for some other reason? So yeah, I'm based in New Zealand, in Auckland, East Auckland, and yes, North. Oh my goodness, this is such a small world. This is just unbelievable. I'm sitting down in my garage here in Howick, uh, and I'm chatting to a guy literally 2 kilometers away from me. Oh wow, that's just amazing. There'll definitely be more of these live streams. Yep, we'll definitely have to catch up for a beer. You just let me know, and that will be absolutely awesome. No, this is what it is about. This is just I just blown away. I cannot believe that. But yeah, I'm based in Auckland. I'm from Johannesburg originally. You probably pick up not a typical Kiwi accent. So I've been living in New Zealand for 20 years now, and loving every minute of it. Um, Thank you. You've inspired me to perhaps do a live stream myself. This has been really great. Well, yeah, please let me know when you do your live stream, because I will come on board and join with you. Maybe we can try and connect up a dual live stream. That would be interesting. If we could get us both on board at once and we do a live stream, that would be lots of fun. So, yeah, pop me a message and let's see what we can do. Honestly, this live stream had no preparation. I literally came on board here, switch it on, and I went, that would be awesome. Let me sort out my software first. I'll email you. Okay, so there we go. You can expect a live stream from Fast How To. I hope you guys have been following Fast How To. And Simon Says, all in one, once Fast How To's got his software up and running, we will do a joint live stream, and I will promise to try out some type of whiskey or bourbon at that live stream just for a bit of a laugh. But no, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you for everyone that has supported my live stream and been on board here. I will load this up, and I'll put through a couple of links in the description below. And you can access, for example, things like how to set this little device up. I'll send you the link to that and other things. But thank you once again, everyone. It's been absolutely awesome. I can't believe I've spent an hour and a half just chatting here with you guys. But yeah, look forward to another one again soon. And thank you so much. Bye for now.